time to ask a question. I'm Bob White, I live on Brook Road. If you change and make the future land use the zoning map, and I'm a developer and I come to you, board, where can I put this workforce housing? Under the current system that we have right now, where can I put it?
Anywhere in town.
Anywhere.
You can put that workforce housing any place you can build a residential home. Any place you can build a residential home.
So in other words, I could go into my property, I got 15 acres, and sell it to somebody who's going to put in that 3 units that Jane wants to put in.
You're limited by how many sorry, I keep having to stand up, I apologize. Your example of 15 acres would have to meet the current zoning ordinance for cluster development, which says how many acres per dwelling unit. So you're not going to be able to get, you're not a 1 acre anywhere, are you? So you couldn't get 15. You're going to
3 to 5.
Yeah, you get 3 units under the normal system, cookie cutter. You might get...
Well, that's what it is today, is what you're telling me.
Correct. And you can do it anywhere on the map. And if you pass the amendment, the blue and the dark green is excluded. Kind
Bob, you can put in cluster housing, but you cannot put in multi-family housing right now. There's a difference between cluster and multi-family.
Was it workforce housing or not?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Right now, you can only put in single-family dwellings. Single family. But if this passes, then you can put in multi-family in one building. Up to 5. That's the difference. That's what a big part of this is. Like, right now, we have a lot of dark green, which is forest conservation. Right now, you cannot build in that unless you get an act of Congress to build a single-family house. You need special exception. All these, you need special exception to build a house. Correct?
Yeah, I thought you could put residential in there. You can't put a mobile home.
But this is not now on a road.
I think you've got to look at the specifics.
Anyways, you're going to have a very hard time building in the dock. A very difficult.
All you need is a frontage lot. You poke through a hole. Excuse me, I'm not making an argument with you, but all you need is to buy the
So I
access.
could develop out here. I could say on Shoe Hill or wherever, I could pre-develop it.
If you have to have the right acreage, you have to have the
I
right.
always thought that was like premature, but it was not intended to be.
You might be mixing apples to oranges. What the zone allows is different from what each particular parcel could support. For example, if the dashed line is a class 6, I believe, on that. So that creates a whole nother set of issues that we have to deal
There's
with.
a lot of class 6 here. I mean, it's very hard to build out here. It's very hard to build out here. Tell me if I'm wrong. It is very hard.
You're making a general statement. I can't tell you you're wrong. I can't tell you you're
It
right.
is very hard. And that's probably 50% of our land. Just that 49.
Yeah, I was going to say you're
And
right.
then if you put in steep slopes,
45.
you put in steep slopes, which probably would come up to probably closer to, who knows, 80%.
I have no idea.
But you can't build out there, you're not going to be able to put
But what I'm saying, so now, but we got to build 50%. We got to put workforce housing 50% of our town.
That's all the other.
Not
That's
normal.
right. So where this town is in trouble. Because we're a small town where everything was developed, where you could develop the whole properties. You know, we would be looking at all our main, where we live. Right now, we are planning on changing the zoning around Curly Hill. Right here. On both sides of Curly Hill.
That's based on right there.
Curly Hill.
That's it.
And on 127 here in 3. We're changing that zoning because we don't want development on these roads. We're changing it from 1.5 acres to 3 acres, which is going to limit buildings. Now, that's what the town wants, and the town says it wants single-family homes. So, the planning board decided to do this. But that makes it even harder. Now you're taking out residential area, which is off of 93, which might be a good spot for multi-families along so. But now they're going to reduce their lot sizes, which is going to make it more difficult. And also, yes, we do need to allow for 50% of workforce housing in this town. But we do not have to allow multi-family in 50% of this town. And that's, but if we go multi-family, we can change that. That means that we will allow multi-family
Do you have a question?
except for the dark green and
Go ahead.
Kevin Dupont, Callback Road. I think that it would be more important for us to focus maybe on if we're in compliance, not trying to change our zoning in town. Isn't that part of the grant money that we accepted? That grant money that we accepted last year, was that supposed to be to see if we're in compliance or not?
no, we thought that's what it was, but it wasn't.
So how do we find out if we're in compliance is what I want to know.
I don't know.
And that's,
We need to.
Come on.
Because how are we going to protect ourselves, like she said, in court? We don't know if we're in compliance.
There's something here that I got as a handout to a program that we went to. And if you'll bear with me, I'd like to read it. It's not a full page, it's part of page of report. This was handed out, it's notes from a workshop entitled Workforce Housing Law for Developers and Builders. So this was, we went here, we wanted to know what it looked like from their side of the fence. And we know that the RSA refers to the municipality being required to provide reasonable and realistic opportunities for the development of workforce housing. And the RSA defines this as meaning opportunities to develop, and then underline, economically viable workforce housing within the framework of a municipality's ordinances and regulations. In the Stratford County Superior Court case of Great Bridges property against the town of Ossipee, the court found that the interaction of various sections of the Ossipee zoning ordinances operate to effectively preclude low and moderate income households from residing in the town. As a result, the town does not bear its proportional share of affordable housing in the county. As such, the ordinances do not promote the general welfare and are in violation of RSA 674. Went on to say Ossipee zoning ordinance is illegal in these sections where it pertains to multi-family housing, and further declared that the town had 60 days to adopt interim zoning, and if no interim zoning is adopted by the town within the 60-day period, the entire zoning ordinance will be void. Attorney Viscarello, who represented Great Bridges Properties in this case, this is what your evidence stated, that the applicant developer should go into meetings with the local land use boards with the intent to build the record for appeal to the county superior court based on what the local land use boards did during the review process and at the public hearing. He advised the applicant developer to go to the hearing with a lawyer, a stenographer, and a videographer to document the process for the court. In Rockingham County Superior Court, the case of Suncoast Properties against Wyndham, the court concluded that it had been established that the town has not reasonably met the workforce housing obligations, and in the present context, its application of pertinent land use ordinances and regulation may not be upheld or deemed a valid exercise of proper authority. And it goes on to say that they did not act with sufficient concern for the town's workforce housing obligations. The court's decision further states that Suncoast has met its burden of establishing that the project is reasonable, and the project is one which the town acted unreasonably in not permitting it to go forward. And it went on, the court grants Suncoast's request for a builder's remedy. That's what they are being told they can do and how they can do it. All towns can do in defense of this is try and make sure that we don't have unreasonable rules like Ossipee had, and that we have reasonable rules that will cover like Wyndham has.
Stuart back there?
Stuart Giant, I still live on Market.
Speak up.
After these amendments pass, am I going to require additional permits to turn my single-family housing into three-family housing?
Yes. The question was, if he has a single-family house now, would he require additional permits to turn his single-family house into a three-family? And the answer is yes. You have to go through site plan approval because you're changing the use and you're changing the configuration. Now, let me also make one comment on what Evelyn said, if I may. The Ossipee case is a 2005 case. Many of you have lived in this community, definitely at that time and for many years before. How many of you think that Ossipee is a more exclusive or wealthier community than Sanborton? It's the other side of the lake. It's the other side of the Ossipee Mountains. It is not viewed as the garden spot of New Hampshire. Its claim to fame is most of the gravel for the Big Dig came out of there. But if they were viewed as exclusionary, I don't know what I can do for you.
On the back.
Drop tape.